time for the OU Weekly Matchup Show. The Sooners and the Texas A&M Aggies. We'll get it on this Saturday evening, 6 o'clock kickoff time from Norman, and the game will be seen on Fox Sports Southwest. The Sooners, have you seen the line for this game, by the way? Oklahoma is a 20-point favorite to defeat A&M. If you had a couple of $100 stashed around somewhere in your closet, under your bed cushion, or, I don't know, in your dresser, would you take that money and bet it on OU to cover in this game? I probably wouldn't either. That'd be too risky of a move. We'll talk more about my prediction of this game at the end of the broadcast, but first, I want to talk a little bit about Bob Stoops' weekly press conference, which, if you don't know, it takes place every Tuesday, where he gives a statement and he answers questions from the media. One of the questions that was brought up I thought was a pretty good question, and it went something along the lines of, if it's 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1, coach, and the nose tackle for the other team is not lined up directly over the center, in other words, the center doesn't have anybody directly in front of him to block, do you give Landry Jones the authority to change the play and call a quarterback sneak? And Coach Stoops says that they do not give him the authority to change the play no matter what the circumstance. Now, don't get me wrong, I think Bob Stoops is still one of the best coaches in college football. His record speaks for itself, and this season, if you've had to deal with the amount of injuries the OU's had to deal with, and remember, this has not been a really easy schedule either, I like to see how well your team does under the same circumstances. Having said that, though, I do have a complaint. My complaint is the following. In a situation where it's 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1 or 3rd and 4th and goal from the 1, and let's just say that the defense does not line up their nose tackle directly over the center, leaving a gap right there in front of the center, then why don't you give Landry Jones the authority to call a sneak and get the first down? He's tall. He's got long arms. You're telling me that he cannot pick up a yard if he's got that center and nobody in front of the center? You're telling me he can't pick up a yard? Are you kidding me? Now, you might be saying to yourself, okay, then the coaches can call a quarterback sneak. They can change the play. Well, by then it's too late, because Jones is going to have to look to the coach's side, and the coaches are going to have to change the play. By then, the defense knows that the play is being changed, so the nose tackle is going to alter himself to the front of the center, okay? So at that point, that hole is occupied. It's too late at that point. You're going to have to take a 5-yard penalty for delay a game or call a timeout, or you're going to have to run the play anyway and have it run into disaster, perhaps. My point is this. There is a way to call a quarterback sneak without having to let everybody on the offensive side know that you're changing the play. Just nudge the center's leg. Just touch it. Or do what you have to do to signal to the center that, hey, I'm changing the play. We're going to run a sneak. You don't have to have the receivers, the running backs, and maybe not even the tackles in order to run a successful quarterback sneak. It's just a yard you need. And if Jones sees something from that defense to where, hey, I can pick up this yard because there's nobody directly lined up in front of the center, the coaches should let him make that change at that particular stage. It's not saying that you're letting him just change the play whenever he wants, because Oklahoma doesn't allow that. The coaches don't allow that. But in common sense situations, common sense should prevail. That's the part that disappointed me a little bit with that answer at Stoops' press conference yesterday. Jones, in that situation, if he sees that he can get the first down, he should be able to change the play without having to let the defense know that he's changing the play and get the first down. Oklahoma's had too many situations this year where they could not pick up a first down, and maybe they could have if they had to do it over again, seeing that they saw some sort of an advantage against the defense. But that's my complaint there. Got it off my chest. Let's go now to Texas A&M. The Aggies, just like the Sooners, have seen better days in college football. The only difference is Oklahoma, they're having a down year. 5-4 for Texas A&M, the way their luck has been these past few seasons, is actually pretty good. It's a sign that things are looking up. And if you want to get real picky, the future does look bright for Texas A&M, because most of this team that they're fielding right now, both offensively and defensively, is very young. Freshmen, sophomores mostly, not too many juniors. This team next year is going to have more experience than any team in the Big 12. Now, I'm not saying they'll win the Big 12 next year, but I think next year they'll be in contention to win the Big 12 South, just because of the talent that they have out there right now. Remember, this is a 5-4 Texas A&M team. Just like Oklahoma, A&M needs one more win to get to bowl eligibility. If they don't get it this week, A&M should be able to pick up a win against Baylor the following week to get to that 6-win minimum bowl requirement total. Now, A&M, what do they do well? They throw the ball extremely efficient. In fact, their quarterback right now, Jared Johnson, he leads the Big 12 in total offense with close to 300 yards rushing and over 2,600 yards passing, and leads all Big 12 QBs in touchdowns thrown with 21. But A&M could also run the ball very well. Cyrus Gray, over 600 yards rushing, and Gray had a kickoff return for a touchdown against Colorado. Hello, OU special teams. Remember 2 weeks ago when you gave up a kickoff return for a touchdown to Brendan Banks of Kansas State? Just like Banks, Gray of A&M has a lot of speed, so OU special teams will have to be ready, and so will the OU defense. But defensively, A&M is not the wrecking crew, they're the wrecked crew, because they've given up a ton of points this season. They gave up over 30 against Colorado in that upset loss last week. They gave up over 60 against Kansas State. For the most part, A&M's defense is not very good. I guess the one strength that they do have, though, is sacking the quarterback, which is going to be key number one to my 4 keys to the game. Something's got to give. Oklahoma has only allowed 10 quarterback sacks this season. They gave up 2 against Nebraska last week. A&M, the one good part about their defense, though, is that in passing situations, they seem to have success getting to the quarterback. 31 sacks. That leads all Big 12 teams. 31 sacks. So again, something's got to give in this department. Will Oklahoma's defensive tackles, which are already thin enough as it is because of the injury situation, which we'll talk about in a minute, they have to step up against A&M's defense. So again, something's got to give. Who will win that battle? Number 2, make sure to wreck the A&M offensive crew. We're talking about the offense, which we've documented earlier. The yardage and points that they've put up this season, both running and passing. Remember, in that upset win at Texas Tech, A&M had over 300 yards rushing. So the Oklahoma defense, after handling Nebraska's offense last week, this will be a much bigger challenge because A&M's offense is much better. So Oklahoma will have to be on their toes this game, both defending the pass as well as especially the run. Number 3, enough penalties already. 9 penalties last week for Oklahoma against Nebraska. They had 9 the week before against Kansas State. That right there is just lack of discipline, again, by Oklahoma, especially on the offensive line where it seems like the brunt of the penalties are being enforced against. So we'll see if OU can improve in that capacity. And then number 4, get over the hangover. Look, nobody in the entire country, especially nobody in the Big 12, is feeling sorry for Oklahoma because they're unranked and they have 4 losses. In fact, the rest of the country is loving this. So Oklahoma, you and only you can pick yourself up from the canvas and step up to the plate. You do that with the victory. There's no other substitute for getting over a hangover like you had last week against Nebraska and coming right back and trying to get a win against the Aggies, okay? That right there will be the cure-all, a W. I'm going to go final score in this game, 34-20. I think Oklahoma will have success against the A&M defense just because almost every team in the Big 12 has this season. The offense, though, should have success for A&M, but it's not going to be as much success as Oklahoma. And plus, remember where the game's being played. In Norman, where the Sooners haven't lost in 4 seasons. Again, I got OU winning by 2 touchdowns. Bad news for the Sooners, by the way. 3 more players out for the season due to injuries. The all-utility lineman, Brody Eldridge, he's gone for the year. Also, Jarvis Jones, a guy who got a lot of snaps at tackle, he's out for the year. And Austin English at defensive end, an injury-riddled career from the starter from Canadian Texas, ankle injury, he's out for the year too. So Oklahoma, as if things weren't bad enough, they now have to overcome 3 absences there because of injury. But congrats to Gerald McCoy. He's named a Lombardi Award finalist, one of 4 Lombardi finalists, signifying the best lineman in college football. But I'm telling you what, he's not going to win the award. It'll go to Ndamukong Suh of Nebraska. He's a man among boys. We saw that last week against Oklahoma, and we've seen that the whole year. We'll talk about OU Texas A&M on the postgame show on Sunday. So long for now.